live stream where we got some Bitcoin content creators here. We're going to talk about some of the current events in Bitcoin and just some of our own thoughts in general. So we got Dan from Through the Cracks Productions.
What up?
We got Ralph from Nurse Hodl.
Yes, sir.
We've got Miles from the Bitcoin for Everyone podcast. And
What's
we
up?
might have another person or two show up later, but we'll see if that happens. How we doing?
Man,
Good
I am
hanging,
good,
man.
dude. Good week for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Every week is a good week for Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
a few days closer till Bitcoin standard. So
Yeah. All right. So first kind of news story, one of the bigger ones that I've seen. This article from the Wall Street Journal. It was on the cover of like the newspaper as well. Bitcoin goes all in on MAGA, shedding its anti-government slant. What are our thoughts on this? It's pretty funny.
I mean, this is some serious political hating on Bitcoin. I think one of the easiest ways to get half of the country to hate anything is to say that Donald Trump and Trumpers love it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, though, I mean, I understand why they're doing this, because whoever wrote this obviously hates Bitcoin and they obviously hate Trump. So in order to try to stop Bitcoin, they're trying to align it as a Donald Trump thing. But Bitcoin is not a Donald Trump thing. Bitcoin existed before Donald Trump was a thing, before he was president. At first, Donald Trump hated Bitcoin. Now, obviously, he says a lot of good things about it. But, without getting too political, as much as Donald Trump says he likes Bitcoin, he's a pretty big shitcoiner. He's into a lot of cryptocurrencies. He has his own crypto coins. He has his own NFTs. Bitcoin is for everyone, including Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is not what I would consider a Bitcoiner. So feel free to disagree. I'm ready for the hate comments on this one.
Yeah, it's super intellectually dishonest to say Bitcoin goes all in on MAGA. I mean, you could maybe say they go all in on Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is a protocol. It's just code. So I wasn't aware of a new Bitcoin Core update that endorsed Donald Trump. But
yeah. So I have a question for you guys, right? So I understand that right now the general, it's generalized that Bitcoin is more for libertarians and more for MAGA people. I got that. It's more right wing. When I got into Bitcoin, though, in 2017, I genuinely thought it was more of a liberal thing at first. I didn't realize that more, and I don't even know if the numbers show this to be true, but I thought that Bitcoin was more liberal and more progressive than I would say. I thought that for the first 5 years. It wasn't until very recently that I realized that most people that follow Bitcoin are right wingers. I don't even know what your guys' political affiliations are. I don't really care. But did you guys think that Bitcoin was a right wing thing when you got into it, or did you think it was a left wing thing, or did you think it was neither? And why?
Neither. Honestly, I didn't even think about that at all. I got into Bitcoin originally because I wanted to make more money. That was the thing. I know I didn't think about politics or anything like that. And then I guess you're kind of right, though. It does feel, I don't know. It depends. I feel like it depends on who you're talking to. Right now, though, I feel like a lot of people are gonna like dismiss Bitcoin because they dislike Donald Trump, and they might just kind of like be like, no, I don't want to be associated with this guy. And it's like, hey, man, too bad. This is not something that, this is not a choice anymore. It's like you gonna adopt it or you're gonna suffer later on. I mean, there's still time, but I don't know. I never saw it as political at all.
You just saw it as making money, and
I just saw it as making money, man.
Yeah, that's something that all liberals and Republicans want to do.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to make money?
Yeah. So maybe if you're liberal, you would kind of be a bit more shy about saying that. I don't know.
Yep.
And to me, it's just
I sort of agree with your perception, though, Dan. That I think it's hard, though, isn't it? Because most of the people that I know who are in Bitcoin are more conservative, I would say. and are more right wing. But yeah, that might be just because of the people that I know or the area that I live in. It would be cool to meet some like uber liberals, like to the extreme end, and see what their vibe is. But you're right. When I heard about Bitcoin, when I first bought Bitcoin, I just thought it was like Google, you know, like you wouldn't know when Google started and everybody uses Google. I thought, cool, like there's no political affiliation for whether you do a search on Google or not. It's just, you just use it, don't you? Whether you're a liberal or you're a conservative, it doesn't make any difference. You still have to search, or it's like email. It was like email. I just thought everyone uses email. I had no idea that Bitcoin would ever get politicized. And yeah, it's totally wild to me that it would be a right-wing, left-wing thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just like, it's, to me, it's just like the most neutral thing that has existed in such a long time. I feel like at this point, like I identify as Orange Party. I don't think I identify with one side or the other. And whoever supports Bitcoin, whichever political party endorses the principles of Bitcoin, will probably be the one I align with most at that current time. But that can change at any time.
Yeah.
So, Josh, you said something really interesting just now. And what you said is you identify as Orange Party, basically saying that you don't identify as a Democrat Party or you don't identify as a Republican, right?
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting is that most people, both on the left and the right, hate their own party. So I think most people on the left hate the establishment Democrats. If you watch any sort of news media, there is a huge contingent of people on the left that absolutely despise everything the establishment Democratic Party, does and is responsible for. Likewise, if you look at alternative right-wing media, there's a huge contingent of people on the right that hate the Republicans. So the Republicans are hated by the left and the right, and the Democrats are also hated, it seems like, by the left and the right for the most part. I'm sure there's a lot of exceptions, but I think that's really interesting because it really puts it into Bitcoin is its own party. Bitcoin goes across party lines. If you look at the people that are supporting Bitcoin right now in the Congress, it is both Republicans and Democrats. You see everyone from I'm blanking on his name, the guy from San Francisco, the Indian guy, I think. If you guys
Ramaswamy, is that who's called?
No, that's a Republican. There's a Democrat from San Francisco, a congressman, and he's pretty popular. And I'm totally having like a name for it, but he's really big into Bitcoin. There's a lot of other Kristen Gillibrand is into Bitcoin. I think there's a lot of progressive people that are into Bitcoin. And likewise, there's a lot of Republicans that on almost every other issue, they completely disagree with. Look at Cynthia Lummis and Rand Paul and all those guys seem to be pretty big Bitcoiners. So I just think it's really cool how the people that support, or I think it's pretty cool that supporters of Bitcoin can come from every party and neither party. So Bitcoin is its own party and Bitcoin is for everyone. So that's pretty cool.
Do you guys think that we could ever go back to like a anti-Bitcoin era again, like we had before?
I mean,
like,
I think we're still in it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, maybe not as bad, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean,
what about,
I think,
your vice president saying at the Bitcoin conference that he said a few times Bitcoin is not in competition with the dollar? He said that a bit, and that is,
yeah.
I
mean, that's
don't
a lie.
know whether he, I don't know if he believes that or if he just thinks this is better to say this because he can't say that Bitcoin is in competition with the dollar. Whereas if it does become competing with the dollar as things move forward and the dollar weakens, then we could enter a sort of anti-Bitcoin vibe in a really strong way from both parties.
I think that is completely a legitimate fear. I always joke that one of the reasons why, it's so important to hold your own keys and not let a third party custodian them is because I think that eventually the dollar is going to break down. Every other currency is going to break down. And we are going to get to the point where governments will do everything in their power to steal their citizens' Bitcoin. I think that it is a very realistic possibility. In fact, it's almost likely that in some countries, whether that's the United States or another country, we're going to have executive order, whatever the one that Truman did, where he took the gold, where he took everyone's gold and confiscated it. I think that we're probably going to see that happen in some countries. And the only issue is it's going to be really hard to do. And that's one of the things that makes Bitcoin so special, is that even when you do that order and you make it illegal, it's almost impossible to execute on that. I think, Miles, you were saying you were in Indonesia, right?
Mhm.
And people and that Bitcoin is illegal there, and yet everybody still uses
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's illegal to buy. Like there are no exchanges in Indonesia. So, but people have it and they own it. And Bali, which is in Indonesia, are having a huge Bitcoin conference later this year. They've got, all the big speakers come in, and there is a way that you can use it. I think you have to set up your own Lightning node between two parties, but you can't transfer Bitcoin on chain because it goes down as kind of illegal banking transfers or something like that. So there's a lot of resistance to it, but the Indonesian currency is inflating at like 11% a year or something. So a lot of people are just holding Bitcoin, especially young people, our kind of age and down, holding Bitcoin because it kind of makes sense to them. And they want to get out as well. They want to travel. They want to go to other countries to study. So who knows if they'll just decide to confiscate it, or if we'll move the other way if they start legalizing it a bit more.
So what you're saying is that by making it illegal, what the Indonesian government is actually doing is forcing people to adopt the Lightning Network quicker.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think that that's actually what's likely to happen when a lot of other countries start making it illegal too, if they start making it illegal. But I definitely see more countries starting to really fight against Bitcoin at some point. And I see that being just as effective as when the United States tried to ban alcohol, or tried to ban weed, or tried to ban, any of the things that are still very prevalent in the United States.
And it's interesting, like every single time, like when somebody's like fighting against something good, it really just forces more people to like look into it to figure out why is this thing bad, and then that just becomes even better for Bitcoin. So hey man, every country just ban Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, it's like people understood that or people understand that if the government is banning something, it's probably pretty good. I think that's like a general, it's probably worth having. So, governments ban it as much as you want. Short term, the price might fluctuate down, but long term, it's only going to make Bitcoin stronger. And that's really what makes Bitcoin so special. I mean, think about it like right now. If, let's say, the United States government banned Bitcoin today, right? Everyone that's holding a Bitcoin treasury company, they're getting liquidated. Everyone that's holding a Bitcoin ETF, they're getting liquidated. Everybody that's storing their Bitcoin on exchanges, they're getting liquidated. They're getting whatever the government gives you, whatever the government would give you in return. But what that really does is it forces people to learn the hard way, which is going to be very uncomfortable, that they need to store their own keys. They need to be in control of their own Bitcoin. And if the government were to do that, it would only make the Bitcoin network stronger and more robust in the long term.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Sorry, Ralph.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
What's the only reason like China banning Bitcoin is because of the fear of the impact on their own currency and capital flight, so people taking money out of the country. And I used to get worried when those things happened. I thought, oh my gosh, they are going to ban Bitcoin. But now, the more you understand it, the more you realize the only reason to ban it is not because it's dangerous to anybody, like some kind of chemical that's in your food or something. Like that's good to ban that stuff. But it's because they want to protect their domestic economy. I don't think, and people say, oh, what if the whole world bans Bitcoin? It's like, it's not possible for the whole world to ban Bitcoin. Maybe one country could stop you transferring back into fiat. But yeah, it kind of just increases the case for Bitcoin, the more governments decide to ban it, and potentially in the future we will see that more.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see the future. I don't want Bitcoin to get banned just because while the government can never steal my Bitcoin, they could put me in jail or they could do something bad to me. But I don't think they will, and if they do, I think Bitcoin will be all right, and I think everyone listening that has their Bitcoin in self custody, they'll be fine too. So go
And
Bitcoin.
I think we like you guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys you've heard of the phrase like first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. I think like we're kind of like on that third stage where they're still fighting, but we're like closer to winning now. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a matter of time, really.
Yeah.
That was a Steve Jobs quote originally, I believe, right?
Was it actually? I don't know.
I could be wrong. I want to say it was a Steve Jobs quote originally. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But for a while, that quote was like really, really,
Oh yeah.
powerful. And
Yep.
then Elizabeth Holmes, the founder of Theranos, if you guys remember her, she went to jail for fraud and stuff. She said
Yeah.
the same thing about her company too. And then I feel like it really completely diluted the power of that quote. But
Damn.
because I don't want to be saying the same thing as her.
Yeah. Ralph, I've definitely experienced that whole process though.
Yeah.
When I first started buying Bitcoin and telling some friends, like seriously telling some friends, even not being that confident about it, saying, I think you should buy Bitcoin. I'm like, don't understand it yet, but I think it's going to change everything. And people just being like, you idiot, like you're wasting your money, you're throwing it away, literally laughing at you.
Yep.
And then over the years, occasionally getting messages saying, oh man, do you remember how much Bitcoin was when you told me about it? Like, yeah, now we're starting to win. We're just on the cusp of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
This
yeah,
is interesting. Forrest is in the comments right now because we're
Yeah.
talking about how important it is to do self custody, and Forrest is saying, well, how important is it to run your own node? That's a really good
Ooh.
question. And Josh, why don't you start us off? Because Forrest, I know that you are making your own series about how to set up your own node, which I think is absolutely incredible, and I think it's super important. But let's hear from you guys. What do you think? How important is it to run your own node?
Who runs a node here out of everyone? Do any of us run a node? I don't.
I don't. I'm planning on by the end of the year for sure. That's something I've been trying to work on for real. I need to learn more about it first. So I'm looking forward to Forrest's series, to be honest.
yeah, not yet for me too. And I kind of feel like a fake Bitcoiner.
I know.
for it.
It's a shame, man.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
I would say it's important for sure, and I think Forest series will be really cool to see. But yeah, Dan, what do you think?
So this is really interesting, and I think that the answer is different for different people. If you are an average person with an average amount of Bitcoin doing average transactions, I don't know what your guys' personal stacks are, but I would imagine we're all in this category. It's probably not that super important for any of us to run our own node. And the reason why I say that is because there's so many nodes out there that you can generally, I hate the word trust, but it is a fair assumption that the majority of the nodes that are working together are getting things right. If I work with, or if I want to go on the Bitcoin Explorer and I want to go on blocks on the mempools and Blockstreams or whoever else's mempool and verify that my crypto transactions are right and verify that everything is in order, I can do that, and I can go double check on two different Blockstream or on two different block explorers, and I can feel pretty confident that it's working. I can really just check on one block explorer and feel pretty confident that everything's in order. If I was in the situation where I was doing a lot of Bitcoin transactions for a lot of money, let's say I was an exchange or whatever. If I just was doing a lot more transactions on Bitcoin, I would probably feel that owning my own node is not only important, but it's vital, because the more the less you can trust other people about storing your Bitcoin, the more important your node is. For the average person, I don't think the average person needs to get up and do their own node. I think it would be good, and I encourage everyone to do so. And Forrest, I am going to follow your video, and I am going to set up my own node. So thank you for making that. But I just don't think it's not the thing I would start with. Not until you start making a lot of transactions that are worth a lot of money, and you need to verify things in an independent way.
Yeah.
But I still encourage everyone to do it. So
I
feel
think
free
a-
to disagree, because that might be a controversial topic.
No, I mean, I think no, you're not wrong, because think about it too. It's like, I'm trying to get, like, my uncles, my parents, I'm trying to get everybody to get into Bitcoin. They're not gonna run nodes, people's grandmas are not gonna run nodes. A lot of people are just like, they're in it for the store of value. That's just the way it is. But then again, it's gonna come down to like guys like us that are still youngish, still interested in like the technology, still want to keep this decentralized and all that. So there is going to be that group of people that are going to run nodes, and then there's also going to be a really huge population, part of the population, that are not going to. That's just the way it's going to be. I don't think it's ever going to be everybody.
Yeah.
But it is important though.
A point in favor of running a node, I think, is just like your vote and what gets included in the blocks. Like we had the whole debate with Bitcoin Knots versus Bitcoin Core, and I think having that agency to be able to choose what you want to include in the blocks, even if it's a small thing. I think it's similar to like the concept of voting, right? Like you don't really feel like your vote is going to like make a huge difference necessarily, but it's still like important to exercise the right to sovereignty, the right to run your own node and not have to ask another node for permission to include your transaction. You're fully self-sovereign, and I think that's an important vote for freedom.
Yeah. It's almost like saying that while running your own node isn't super important, the ability to run your own node is extremely important.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that sets Bitcoin apart from all these other cryptos, where a lot of the other cryptos, you can't just run your own node. They're all permissioned.
Yeah.
So
you have to get approved by someone basically to be a node, which is kind of funny.
And that was the other thing that you said, Josh, about kind of like voting. And whenever you're voting, that implies that, there is some sort of big decision that needs to happen. If we were to come into another situation like what happened with Bitcoin Cash, where we need to decide as Bitcoiners which Bitcoin is a real Bitcoin, then I think having your own node would be a lot more important. And if there was something like that on the table, then I think 100% it would be very important for each of us to be running all of our nodes. Not necessarily because we don't trust everyone else, but because we want to make our own voices count on what we believe is a real Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. Like, I don't run a node. Always thought about doing it and watched some complicated videos and thought, nah, I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, I watched Forrest's first video and thought, okay, cool. I think I could follow this so far. And I agree with you, Dan, that it's probably not, I'm not that worried about running a node right now, because I know enough people who I trust. Like, even watching Forrest's video, I'm thinking, cool. Well, if Forrest is running a node, that makes me feel good. Plus the other people I know, that makes me feel good, that it's all good. But in a scenario like we were talking about before, like the USA or like a large economy really cracks down on Bitcoin, and we still want to transact with each other or move to another country and transact, then I want to be in a position where I think, okay, I need to start running a node again, and I don't want to have to figure it out at that time. I'm better to figure it out before something like that happens.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that I have is I downloaded all of the repos on my computer. I'm not really running them, but I have all the repos set up so that if anything ever happens, I have them in storage, and in
Yeah,
case
nice.
the government ever takes them off GitHub. So I'm
Also,
ready
nice.
for it.
Yeah. Also, I don't know about you guys. Before I actually like put all put everything in cold storage, it took me forever till I actually like watch videos, learn about it, and then like I literally just like procrastinated. Like I just put it in the back of my mind for the longest time, and I feel like I'm doing the same thing with like running a node. Although I know it's important, it's not like I don't have time to learn about it, but I'm like, this is not priority right now. I think that's where I'm at with running a node. I feel like I don't. It doesn't feel like there is a sense of urgency yet. I think that's why I'm kind of like, maybe I'll give it a few weeks, or I'll give it a few months, and
Yeah.
I'll start doing it. But I don't know. What do you guys think about the urgency of running one?
Yeah.
Right now, there's for us, practically speaking, there's not. What there is urgency for, and what I'm curious how long it took all of you guys to do, and I'm assuming that you guys are all self-custody, is I'm curious how long did it take you guys to learn to self-custody your own coins, and how did that process look for you? Because I know for me, I didn't get into self-custody for over a year after I bought my first Bitcoin.
Me too. It took me I mean, it's a shame. I'm not gonna lie, it took me way too long because I was afraid that if I messed up something, I'd lose everything. And I literally was just like watching videos, rewatching them, making sure that do I understand? Okay, can I? Okay, I was stressed about it, and I think that kind of like I don't know. I waited way too long, but thank God nothing bad happened. But I think it was the anxiety of like doing it by myself because we kind of used to like having somebody hold our hands and stuff, and this is for the first time ever you have the ability to transfer your own wealth to yourself. It's a big deal, I think. So
Yeah.
Have any of you guys ever helped someone else get set up on self-custody?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. That's also worrying as well.
Yeah.
When I did that done it with a couple of friends and my mum and dad, and I didn't do the actual transfer of their whole, Bitcoin net worth. I just got it set up so that they could do $20, $50. And I was like, cool, the $50 has arrived. Now you need to do the whole transfer. I don't want to be involved in that. Even like copying and pasting the address. I was like, no, when I've left your house, I've shown you everything. You have to do this last bit by yourself because I don't want to be responsible for it. Because I still don't, we have to not forget that it is actually scary to do that whole transfer to your cold storage, whatever it is, even if it's like a sort of hardware wallet. It's still scary, man. I think that we've been in a system for such a long time where you can email the bank, call the bank if you do a wrong transfer or something, or reverse charge it, that it's very hard to get out of that mindset to think we are fully responsible for our money. And I think it's scary. Yeah. So I totally, it took me a long time. It took me,
because if you lose it, you lose it, man.
Man,
Whew.
I still sometimes freak out now. Like sometimes going to sleep, I think, is it definitely there? Should I go and check one day? If it's not there, then man.
In my book, I literally if you guys don't know, I have a Bitcoin book for beginners. It's called What is Bitcoin? Your first step down the rabbit hole. And I have an entire section of just setting up your own cold wallet, or not cold wallet. I have an entire section of setting up your own hot wallet. And I think that is one of the most important sections of the book because it literally walks you through like every single detail, like what these things mean, how to check it on a Block Explorer, because it is a really scary process. And I mean, that goes into another question. I see Forrest has a question about favorite hardware wallets and why.
Oh, actually, fun fact, my first that's embarrassing, but my first wallet was freaking Tangent, man, because I did not want to be responsible for like the 24 words and stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let me go with this one because it's just like 3 cards.
What
so
was
like,
it? I didn't.
Oh, Tangent.
Tangent? I don't even
like,
know what that is.
Let me see if I can pull up oh, yo, Josh, can you pull up like a picture of it or like on the website or something? I don't know if
Yeah,
It's literally like they take it. They give you like 3 cards, and it's basically like you don't have to worry about your passphrase or anything like that. Like if you can access your coins as long as you have, I think, 2 cards or something like that. So you can lose one of them but still have access to 2 of them. And I guess it was a terrible choice. So yeah, so
Right,
don't use
right.
Tangent.
I feel like with hardware wallets, there's always going to be hate from someone. Like I thought I did some research and found the best one to use, and then you say to some like guy who's running his own node 10 years ago and knows everything, you say, "Oh, I'm using a Trezor." They're like, "Whoa, man, don't use that." They're like, "Hang on, I spoke to 10 people and they all said that Trezor was all good." Right. And they say, no, you should use this brand. You're like, "Oh man, it's very confusing." Very confusing.
So
if you're not really.
Maybe we should clarify, because I see BTC Moon Guy in the comments. He says he started off with paper wallets, right? So for the main people out there, let's talk about what are the different types of wallets that you have access to. You have a brain wallet, right? Which is basically storing your 12 words in your head. Do not recommend that, but
that's a kind of escape your economy, escape your country kind of situation that I think.
Yeah,
that's what that's for.
Only in worst case scenarios. Then you have paper wallets, which are basically like on paper. They have the keys set up. Those are really interesting. I have never used one. I don't think I would use them. But I can also see how they might be a good idea for some people in very specific situations. I would love to hear just more about how BTC Moon Guy got started with that, because I think those are very rare. And then there's hot wallets and cold wallets, right? And hot wallets are essentially wallets that are connected to the internet, and cold wallets are wallets that are not connected to the internet. In order to broadcast the transaction, it has to Bluetooth to an internet connected device that does not hold the keys. So what do you guys think about, for beginners, people that have never took self-custody of their coins yet? Would you recommend a hard wallet for them or a cold wallet for them, and why?
I mean, I think like absolute beginner, like 0 hours, like you should probably just keep it on the most trusted exchange until you're ready, but just don't wait off too long.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I mean, it took me a year, and now, I wrote a Bitcoin book. So if it's someone that's as
you have to practice what you preach.
Do things slowly. I think it is worthwhile to do things slowly. But Miles or Ralph,
I think
what would you guys recommend?
I agree. It's like keeping it on the exchange. I mean, I kept mine on exchange for the longest time. I mean, thank God nothing happened, but like, it's okay to keep it there and learn about the best way to, move it, in the meantime. So yeah, I think, keeping it on there. Cause I mean, it's like, you can use a, warm wallet, but like, it's like, why not just learn about the safest way to do it? Why, take a step in between to learn about something that you are gonna move on in like a few weeks, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think people should like set a date or something, like say like I'll do enough research this day, I'm gonna order a cold wallet, and then like I think definitely cold wallets are the way to go. Definitely something that's Bitcoin only is the best way to go. Something that's air gapped, which means like there's no connection to your computer, and something that has open source software. That's also really important. Something that has a software that's publicly available, that you can see all the software that your wallet's running.
I think that's one of the keys. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, making sure that whichever wallet you keep is open source is so important. And that's because not all wallets are open source. And I'm going to point to, I don't want to pick on any particular wallet, because I don't want to give, and I don't really want to give a recommendation, but I'm going to pick a little bit on Ledger. I don't know if you guys remember what happened with Ledger a few years ago, where they got in a lot of trouble because they created a new feature that essentially allowed somehow there was like some backdoor that allowed Ledger to have access over your coins in a cold wallet setting. I'm probably messing that up a little bit.
It was
but-
called Ledger Recover, and it was
Ledger
like,
Recover.
yeah. So, but it was something. It's something you had to opt into. So I think you had to give them that access and like give them permission to do it.
But just the fact that they had the ability to do it, even though they said, you know, that you need to opt into it,
Definitely
it
not
made
ideal.
the entire Bitcoin community, I think, really, really scared. And I know I actually had a Ledger at the time, and I ended up smashing that thing with a hammer. And I think I posted about it somewhere on Twitter.
Damn.
But regardless of whether Tether did I say Tether? Regardless of whether Ledger was safe or not safe, I don't know. And I will never be able to know because the code wasn't open source at the time. So I see Bear Hoofdy says he has a Ledger. So I had a Ledger too. I chose not to use it. And it might be safe, it might not be safe, but by having a wallet that is open source where you can verify all the code yourself, it makes it a lot more safe and allows you to verify its safety. So that's one of the most important things I would say is that if you are going to choose a wallet, whichever wallet you choose, make sure it is open source. And
I was gonna follow up with what Miles says. I ran into the same problem too, where I was using a Treasure too, and I thought it's open source, and but then I had a meeting with one of the guys from the Bitcoin Way, and they were like, no, it needs to be. So they give me like the full list of everything. It needs to be open source, Bitcoin only, and then all that. And I was like, oh, great. Now I gotta switch over to something else. So it's kind of like you kind of have to know, like I feel like nobody knows the list, I guess the requirements that are like ideal for a Bitcoin wallet, and I think that's where people kind of like, they choose the wrong. I mean, I don't want to say the wrong wallet, but like maybe something that's not ideal. I don't know. I feel like we need like more education about what the best wallets out there.
Yeah, and I've heard good things about Blockstream, Jade, Cold Card, Q. Yeah, those are like the big two. I think I hear people talk about the most.
Yeah.
I think to like summarize, really, I think that everybody can track their Bitcoin education and journey via the way they custody their coins. So you start on an exchange, and then there's no shame in keeping it on exchange for a while, because like Ralph was saying, you had it on for a year. I had it on for over a year for sure. And I think that also in that year, that was when I was really learning about Bitcoin, and I was buying more Bitcoin. And as I was, DCAing Bitcoin, my balance started going up. The price of Bitcoin starts going up, and you learn more. And then you think, gosh, that's quite a lot to keep on an exchange. So then, you learn more, you get a ledger, and then you have a ledger for a while, and then you learn that you don't want to have a ledger anymore. And then, so I think it's hard. I think that, you need to keep the barrier for entry for new people low. And then, what we're saying is hopefully every time someone hears a conversation like this, like even I'm thinking, maybe I should think about splitting my coins between two different cold storage solutions rather than keeping it on one. There's always a level you can go up, and everybody should always be thinking, as the price goes up, maybe I should increase my security a bit more.
Yeah. What I'm waiting for is the day where Apple or Google makes it really easy to choose a hot wallet by having them built into the Android and iOS software. I think that when that happens, obviously there will be issues and it won't be perfect, but when those two companies make it, I feel pretty confident that they're gonna make it in a way where it's good enough for and easy enough to use and figure out for the average person. So just a thought.
Yeah, and then you just gotta yeah, like you said, the ledger to Bitcoin only, it's kind of like the pipeline, and then from there, just it's like improving your security step by step and just making sure that's top of mind. Like, I don't think there's going to be like a perfect, security solution, but it's just about like keep leveling it up and thinking about like the different safety measures to because it's generational wealth and you have to treat it that way. And that's the mindset you have to have when like thinking about how to keep it safe for the future.
Exactly. The more Bitcoin you have, the more you need to think about your custody. The less Bitcoin you have, the less important it is for you.
But it's still generational wealth, even if you just have a little bit right now.
Let's hope so. Yes, I don't know which generation though. That's
Yeah. Your great grandchildren will be happy that you kept it safe.
by that point I'll have spent it all.
What's an amount of Bitcoin you guys think if somebody has, they should start thinking about, getting a cold wallet? Like, like I guess in terms of like Satoshis, like, 0.1, 0.01, like, like what do you guys think about, like, I guess, because eventually even 0.01 is going to be generational wealth, but that depends on like, so, like, what do you guys think about that one?
I would say it's not really. I don't think about it in terms of like Satoshis. I think about it in terms of relative to your wealth and your appreciation of that wealth. So when you get to the point where you really don't want to lose that money, like it would really suck, you absolutely need to have some sort of self custody, whether that be a hot wallet or cold wallet. And then if you get to the point where you're talking about like this is your net wealth, like it's 90% of your net wealth or higher, and you don't want and losing it would be like very, very, very bad, like to the point where your wife would divorce you, all that stuff. At that point, you probably want to get a cold wallet. So
Yeah.
I don't know if those that terminology was the best, but But yeah, the more it is for you, the more you need to be on the more self-custodial side. And then if you start are handling multiple people's money, then your custodial solution needs to be even that much more complex.
Yeah. I mean, if the question was, when should you start thinking about it? I think it's immediately. And I think it just helps you to like learn more about it and how it works just by like going down that rabbit hole. But I would say like once you accumulate 1 million sats, I think you should start sending it to cold storage.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something like that. As soon as something gets to an amount where you think, man, if I lost like even like $1,000, like whatever that would that be 0.01 at the moment?
Yeah, 1 million sats.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to lose $1,000. Imagine if you just had that in cash like that right now. You just think, I don't want to chuck that away. As soon as it starts getting to that, I start moving it off an exchange to a wallet, or like a couple of $1,000 if I'm depending on how much I've bought recently. You just think, yeah. As soon as it gets to $1,000, I'm like, okay, I don't want to lose $1,000 for anything, so I just move it as soon as it gets close to that. Because but if I'm just buying small amounts of Bitcoin, like then it's on an exchange for a while, and then I think around an amount where you think I don't want to lose that. But if you're like a teenager and you're buying like $10 of Bitcoin at a time, and it gets to $100, and you think I don't want to lose 100, then that's what it is for you. I just don't want to lose any of my Bitcoin, and I like to have it. I feel like if it's on the exchange, it's kind of like a computer game balance. It doesn't feel like it's mine until it's in my wallet.
I like that.
Yeah.
Then, so I think, the title of this stream was Reading Bitcoin Hate Comments. So we'll give the people what they came for. We submitted some comments we've gotten just to kind of like respond to them and have a little chuckle. So first on Ralph's channel. So what is Bitcoin other than numbers on a screen?
It's like what exactly is the number in your bank account?
No, I think this is really kind of
But that's a
good
good question though. Yeah.
because a lot of people have this. It's like, oh, it's just numbers on a screen, right? And
Yep.
yeah, you could say, well, so are the numbers in your bank account, which is also true. But I think that the way that I try to explain Bitcoin is it is its own alternative, independent financial system. And the reason why it exists is because the financial systems that we live in and that we're told to live in are rigged against us. The dollar is rigged against us. The euro is rigged against the Europeans. Miles, you're from Britain. The pound, the English financial system, that's rigged against you. Bitcoin is an entirely alternative financial system that treats every single person fairly. And the numbers that you have in Bitcoin, that's just the amount of the currency that you have inside of that financial system. And what makes the financial system interesting is, like I said, it's not rigged, it's fair, it's open to everyone, it's global. There's a lot of other things, but what is it more than just numbers on a screen? It's an entire financial system. It's the Fed, it's the banks, it's PayPal, it's Visa, it's everything. So
yeah, I think that's one of the most important things I try to explain is that I think once you start thinking of it as a network, a financial system, rather than just a coin or a token, I think that's when you kind of start to understand it a little bit, that it's a network with set rules that can't be changed unless everyone agrees on them. It's a network that uses real world energy to back the supply of it and verify the authenticity. And when you start to think about the rules of the network and whether or not you want to participate in that network, I think that leads to better understanding.
Did you reply to this guy, Ralph?
Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on.
I mean, I guess I don't know if I'd qualify this as a hate comment, but
No, it's not. It's really not. It's kind of
let's get
it's
a
more of a
comment on.
yeah,
it's more of a lack of understanding. I mean, I went through the same thing. I mean, I didn't think of it as like, oh, it's just a number on the screen. It's just when you don't understand Bitcoin, you'll find any excuse to not get it, and it is what it is. And I think one day that person will get it. They'll realize that whatever money they have on their bank account is the same thing. It's just a number on the screen. But the difference between the number on the screen of Bitcoin and the number on the screen on their bank account is that the number on the screen of Bitcoin, that supply cannot increase. But the number on the screen on their bank account, that's going to stay the same, but the supply of the money is just going to keep increasing. So your number is going to become less and less and less and less valuable. So, you'll get it eventually. I guess they just have to educate themselves. And yeah, man.
I like this next one, because it's all caps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody read it, but Josh, I want you to read it, but I want you to,
Scream it.
Yeah, scream all the caps.
Without electricity, where is your money? BTC goes up and down with the markets. Good luck with that. And what do you withdraw? US dollars?
So great acting, Josh. You should be a voice actor.
Oh, damn.
You must have written this on a laptop, because if you do that many question marks on an iPhone or whatever, you have to type. But on a laptop, you can just hold it down, right, and just do loads of.
Let's start with the last part. It's what do you withdraw? US dollars. This is, I think, a really big misconception that I get so frustrated with. No, you don't withdraw US dollars. Like, Bitcoin is its own thing. You can trade it for US dollars, you can trade it for yen, you can trade it for pounds, you can trade it for euros, but you're not withdrawing anything. You're owning it. You get to trade the Bitcoin. It is a bearer asset of value. And that is, I think, very difficult for people to understand. But when you understand that it is its own alternative financial system again, and Bitcoin is the only exclusive currency in that financial system, that is the Bitcoin network, then you understand that the concept of withdrawing doesn't even really make sense. It's
a
just
transaction. Yeah.
it's a transaction.
Yeah.
It's your own currency. You can trade it for whatever, but there's nothing to withdraw because there's no one holding your Bitcoin for you in the first place. There's no depositor location like a bank. It's just your money. It's your dollars under a mattress, except it's the digital version of that, which is your Bitcoin in your self-custodial wallet.
Yeah. The title of Satoshi's white paper is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So by withdrawing it, you're just sending a transaction from public key A to public key B. You're using your private key to sign off on that transaction, saying that I, public address A, authorize 2 Bitcoin to be sent to public address B. And by using my private key, I'm signing off on that transaction. My transaction then gets broadcast to a node. And then that node, if they verify its authenticity, will broadcast that transaction to the network. And then the miners will validate that transaction and include it in a block. So that's what you withdraw.
Complex way of saying you're not withdrawing it for dollars ever.
Yeah.
We should do a thing where like Josh kind of covers the rest of the tweet or rest of the hate comment, where you just start with without electricity and then like the rest of it's covered, and we have to guess what it's going to be, the rest of the hate comment. Because this could be anything. Like without electricity, you could put anything in there. Without electricity, we're all done. Everything is a problem without electricity. You know, like it's
the light bulb is a horrible invention. What would you do without electricity?
Yeah, without electricity, it's not like we're going to suddenly start using gold or, you know, start taking gold chunks around to pay for gas or something. It's just not going to happen, is it? And how are you going to cut that gold up without any electricity? Everything is a problem without electricity. My Bitcoin stash is not going to be, you know, if the whole world has got no power, I'm not going to be worrying about Bitcoin. I'm actually going to be trying to grow some vegetables or something.
Yep. All right. Can I get to another one?
Yeah, let's do it.
I like this, man. It's fun.
Let's see.
Do one with caps, and I want you to scream it again.
This was a pretty good. Let me zoom in on it. Oh, that's time. All right. I can't wait to see the day when Bitcoin crypto shit scam collapses and all these people realize what real investors like Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett knew. At least stocks have real businesses behind them, making the investor money. Crypto is nothing but money holding it up. As soon as big money pulls everything out from Bitcoin, it will fall and you'll be left holding nothing. You'd be better off buying real companies, bro. And then I just followed up by asking, what is money? And they just said, money is something that businesses make. Bitcoin produces nothing. If you want to compare the dollar bill to Bitcoin, that's your choice. But remember, Bitcoin produces nothing. Companies make shareholders real value. Bitcoin fanboys are delusional.
Holy shit.
Damn.
Should we sell all our Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, man. I think I'm out.
Okay.
Just comparing like Bitcoin to stocks, and it's like like it's not the same, man. It's I feel like once again all of these comments they have the same thing in common. It's like a lack of understanding of like what money is, like what fiat money is. It's basically the same thing, you know. It's just like I feel like it's just now lack of education, really.
That was well said. Let's look at this. Let's take it one step at a time, because I feel like he threw in like 50 different comments there. He says, I can't wait to see the day when Bitcoin crypto shit scam collapses. So first of all, that's his first issue, where he is showing he doesn't even really understand what he's talking about. He's conflating Bitcoin with the rest of the cryptocurrency market. And that is one of the most common mistakes that people make. Bitcoin has nothing to do with any of the other cryptocurrencies. The properties that make Bitcoin special are not this, do not follow with the other cryptocurrencies around the world. So just comparing them to and conflating them is just shows he doesn't really understand what he's talking about. But then he says he wants to see it collapse. Well, he's, if he's been paying attention to it for a while, he's probably seen it collapse many times. He's seen it collapse from 1,000 down to 100. He's maybe seen it collapse from 20,000 down to 3,000. He probably saw it collapse from 69,000 to 16,000. He may have just seen it collapse from 108,000 to 74,000 ish, maybe, whatever it just was. At a certain point, the person that's writing this needs to realize that what's actually collapsing in real time is the value of, I'm assuming this guy is American, the value of the dollar. And that is what is really hurting people, is people that are buying dollars and dollar denominated assets.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is skyrocketing in comparison. So there's that. And then he says that Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett knew that they're scams, or that yeah, I think that's what he's saying. Warren Buffett has said that that Bitcoin is rat poison, or rat poison squared. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Warren Buffett is 100% right. Bitcoin is rat poison. The thing that people get wrong and misassume is that they think that rat poison, or that the average retail holder are the rats. The rats in this case are the big banks. Bitcoin is killing the big banks. So Bitcoin is rat poison. The big banks are the rats.
Yeah, this is a good comment here. That's something I've seen for sure. Only a fool is sure of his point of view. And that's what I've seen so much. Like, the people against Bitcoin are so sure that they have it all figured out. Sorry, Ralph, I'm covering you here.
Oh, no, it's all good.
But they're so sure they have it all figured out and that they've figured out it's a scam. But I feel like with Bitcoiners and educating people, it's like we're just like scratching the surface of like our understanding of like how complex this topic and this technology is, and we're just like maybe a couple steps ahead of the people that we're trying to like educate and bring along. But it definitely, the Bitcoin critics are so sure that they got it figured out.
And also, that person should go listen to Warren Buffett's most recent speech when he was talking about the dollar. I think that will change their, well, maybe not change their point of view. Maybe at least send some signals there about the dollar.
Yeah.
Also,
you muted then.
I was just saying that. Yeah, totally. That was a really awesome speech that that he gave. And I like Warren Buffett. I mean, he's wrong about Bitcoin. Yeah. I mean, as Simon points out in the chat, Warren's been really wrong about technology stocks for the past 20 years. And he's been wrong about Bitcoin too. So people have a sphere of confidence. Warren Buffett obviously has a very big sphere of confidence when it comes to investing in certain types of companies. And I don't think anyone can take that away from him. But his sphere of confidence has never been, or competence has never been technology or anything technology related. So he doesn't understand it. That's okay. He can make billions of dollars doing what he does understand, but it doesn't mean he knows the first thing about Bitcoin.
Yeah. I'd like to ask this guy, like, honestly, not trying to create a fight, but just say, okay, cool. So if you're saying own companies, what companies do you own? What stocks do you own, that have performed that well over the last 10 years? And we're not saying that because Bitcoin has performed better than all those stocks the last 10 years, it means that it's going to perform better the next 10 years. Obviously, we all think it is, but you've got to judge it by something. So let's look at your stock portfolio and then look at the Bitcoin portfolio. Like, if you're so sure, are you plowing 100% of your net worth into what? Like Berkshire Hathaway? I don't know. Like, what's your kind of, you're just cussing Bitcoin out, but you're not coming up with another scenario and saying, I own 100% Berkshire or something like that. Like, what is it that you think is better than Bitcoin or crypto in general?
How funny would it have been if he bought MicroStrategy at the 2000 dip, when it was like a 10 cents a share?
Yeah. Then he'd be like, you should have done this.
Companies capitalize on Bitcoin, like, just like check the scoreboard. Like, Metaplanet, like if you just look at the stats of like Metaplanet compared to any other stock in the Japanese stock market, like it's just like insane, like the numbers, and like every other company is capitalized on bleeding collateral, while these companies that are basically performing a speculative attack on the dollar and longing Bitcoin as part of their treasury strategy are just performing insanely well.
And also at some point, I feel like you gotta ask yourself, like, okay, why are all these people talking about Bitcoin? Like, you know, at some point you're gonna be like, okay, there must be something there. You can't just like ignore it forever, you know. So like, I feel like, I don't know. It's like you can't just like, even for myself, like people were, even when people were talking about like, you know, other you know, crop coins like, you know, Ethereum, XRP. I went and looked into them to see, you know, what was there, and then I realized, oh,
Yeah.
that's crap. Okay, let me get out of there. So you gotta like at least be curious and trying to understand why this is something that, you know, even the United States is trying to make it as a strategic reserve. You gotta be a little bit curious, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, if those types of returns don't at least pique your curiosity to see what am I missing out on, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Like anytime something goes up that much, even if it is a scam, because sometimes, you know, sometimes pump and dump scams really happen, but you should at least look into it if something is going up and say, is there something there, or do I think it's a scam? So
Right.
Yeah. Well, we can get to a couple more comments. There was a good question I wanted to get to real quick from Dean. When should we take profits from Bitcoin? I've been stacking, doing it properly in self-custody, managing UTXOs. Should we keep stacking and wait? I want to take my family on holiday.
that is a great question, Dean.
Yeah.
Dean, I'm going to tell you this because that is a fantastic question. The idea of taking profits from Bitcoin is, I think, a misnomer. I think what you're doing is you want to always just have as much Bitcoin as possible. However, what you're saying is, and I'm assuming that you have a long time horizon, 4, 10, 20 years. If you just keep your Bitcoin, it's going to be worth a lot more. But what you're saying is that you want to take your family on vacation and you want to take your family on holiday. So I'm assuming that what you want to do is sell some of your Bitcoin to help provide a slightly better lifestyle in the form of vacation for you and your family. And if that's the scenario, I would say do it now. Take some Bitcoin. You hodled for however long you hodled. If you can sell some of it to get the vacation that you want, that's going to make your life better, you can do that today. I don't know if the price is going to go up or down tomorrow. I don't think anybody does. Long term, obviously, it's going to go up a lot. But if Bitcoin is there, or my viewpoint is that Bitcoin is there to help improve your life. And if selling some Bitcoin now to take your family on the vacation that you want to take them to, maybe you want to, excuse me, the dogs, you could do it. You could do it now.
Yeah, fully agreed. And yeah, like Bitcoin is money and it should be treated that way. Always in my videos say like the peak energetic like potential of dollars is right now. So like you're incentivized to spend them while you can. But with Bitcoin, you're incentivized to save. And then so it's just about balancing like living your best life and also treating Bitcoin like generational wealth in the future. But I think it's just about having a balance between those things and not going too far, not enjoying your life at all because you're trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, and not just spending all your Bitcoin because it's going to be worth a lot more in the future.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be the dead guy with the most amount of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's cool. I'm going to take some profit at some point. Right now, I haven't got anything I need to use it for, but I think, you know, I want to buy a house soon, like a big ass house. You know?
And when you say profit, you're meaning just upgrade your life with the house.
Yeah.
You don't mean,
Yeah,
long-term.
exactly.
Exactly.
Like, but I think if you're going to spend your whole stack on a vacation, that is, it's not just to do with Bitcoin taking profit. That's just bad financial advice. If we said that, like if you need to spend your whole stack to take a vacation, you should not go on vacation. Like just hold that Bitcoin and just go for a walk in a park or something like that, or go camping. Like I guess it depends on how much of your stack you're selling. If you're just selling a little bit of your stack to go on vacation and you can't do that with your fiat money, then I think that makes sense, especially if you're doing that out of a big profit that you've been hodling for a while. I think that's cool. I think at some point, if we always are saying Bitcoin is money, then actually it's money that we use to upgrade our lifestyle. And if we think Bitcoin is money, we should use it to do that.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's like the point of saving money or saving in Bitcoin. It's to have something in the future, to be able to use it in the future. And if that's your time, then hey man, use it. If you, like you guys said, you sell some of it to enjoy your life, because you can't just hold it to the grave, and also not financial advice, of course. There are a lot of like different products nowadays, I mean, I'm not into those things, but there are like, they're taking loans against your Bitcoin. There are other things that you can look into, talk to somebody maybe more a professional about all that if you're interested into that. But you don't necessarily have to sell, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's just it differs from people to people. So
I'm going to take the opposite. I say, if you sell your Bitcoin, sell your Bitcoin. I would stay away from custodial products that allow you to lend it out.
Fair enough.
Yeah, take loans on it.
Yeah, I think we should.
That stuff is mature enough, but I could be wrong. But just for safety.
I agree. Yeah, I think this is something maybe far in the future. But yeah, I that's not something I would be doing right now for sure.
Yeah, I just think the term taking profits is kind of misleading. I feel like we should remove that from our vocabulary. I feel like it should just be spending or saving. Like you're either spending it or you're saving it for the future, because Bitcoin is just money. Bitcoin is better money, and taking profits implies that you're just exchanging a strong money for a weak money. And there's never a good time to exchange stronger money for weaker money. And there's never a bad time to exchange weaker money for stronger money.
And I guess people need to see it as like, it's like going to the bank and like taking out like $5,000 to buy a used car. You're not taking profit to buy a used car. You're just using your savings to buy a used car. So just see, Bitcoin is the same thing. You just using your Bitcoin to fund your vacation. So yeah. As long as it's something that you need, not just some. Obviously, we all need a vacation, but yeah, just don't blow it on useless stuff. But yes,
make sure
take your vacation, man.
Good, make sure it's a good one, because you want to look back and think. You don't want to look back and think, I wish we hadn't gone that vacation. Because it sucked. Yeah, I could have kept that Bitcoin. It's got to be, you don't have to be lavish, but make sure it's like quality family time.
Right.
You're not just doom scrolling TikTok the whole time you're on vacation. Like, make it count.
Yeah. No, even myself too. I want to buy a house, but I'm like, man, I don't want to look back and regret that. For spending all that money and all those Bitcoin on a house. I'm like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's
Josh,
not
put
time
on
yet,
what Angelic Floorcare said. I think this is a really good one too. It's, what do you guys think about having a small savings in fiat? Should I save literally everything in Bitcoin? My personal opinion, I think it's great to have a small savings in fiat. I have a small savings in fiat. And there's a very simple reason for this. We still live in a fiat world. Every day, my groceries are in dollars. My rent is in dollars, all that stuff. It makes it a lot easier, just from a convenience standpoint, to have a small amount of dollars. Now, I try to keep that amount of dollars as small as possible, but the dollars are just kind of my emergency savings, and then everything else is in Bitcoin. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, 100% agree, man. I think everybody should have a small amount of fiat. I mean, and I think that depends on like your profession and like how easy it is for you to like get back on your feet. If anything happens, let's say you get fired, like, can you get another job within the next like 3 to 6 months, or so
Mm.
it all depends on what you do. But yeah, of course, yeah, keep something in a high yield or in a high yield savings account or something, just in case, so you don't have to worry about selling your Bitcoin when something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing you want to avoid is being in a position where the market tanks, you get laid off, and all of a sudden you're forced to start liquidating your Bitcoin, at the very, very bottom, just to feed yourself. That's what you want to avoid. So having a small cash savings in dollars can avoid that. But as soon as you start getting beyond a certain point in dollars, you're just literally throwing that money on fire. So it's like insurance almost. Like
Yeah.
you have insurance knowing that all the money that you're putting into it is probably going to waste, but in the small chance that you actually need it, you have the ability to use it.
Yeah.
How much is too much dollars actually?
It's probably should be measured in how many months you need to live, or how many months you can live on for the dollars
Right.
you've got saved.
I think
I reckon.
if you have more than 3 to 6 months saved, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone's
And I think a counterpoint would be like Bitcoin goes up over time, right? It's volatile, but over time it always trends to the upside. So even if you're selling more Bitcoin in the short term and you just have like a stack, like you could realistically just, if you're mega Bitcoin maxi, you could just keep your net worth at 0 at all times. Like just use your credit cards, always keep enough cash that you're just at 0 net worth in dollar terms, like just with your credit card balance and your checking. And if you have some unexpected expense, then you sell some Bitcoin for dollars to pay for that expense. And there's also things like Strike has a checking account option where you can just pay for things directly from your Bitcoin balance. And like Jack Mallers says, like, I think the reason people are hesitant to do that is because of capital gains, but all capital gains means is that you beat monetary debasement. Your money beat out the dollar. And so yeah, it sucks that you're paying a tax on the margin that you beat monetary debasement, but in reality you could just have a 0 net worth in dollars.
good alternative point.
Mm.
Forrest said he recommends the Jade, Blockstream Jade. It's a good cold wallet.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there. The Jade is a very popular choice for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're over an hour. Was there anything else people wanted to cover?
I feel like we still had so much more to talk about, and I
Yeah.
want to hear more of your angry voice, Josh, but
Yeah.
I mean, we could.
we'll do it. We'll do it next time. I'll probably be
That
out
should
next
be-
week, but the week after.
All
There
right.
should be a segment every week. Is like one hate comment.
Yeah,
The hate comment of the week.
I like it.
No, we should for real.
That was fun.
Well, you guys just
Alright.
got to keep on pumping out lots of content to get those hate comments.
Yeah. I need to get some hate, man. I haven't really
Yep.
got any so far, but I need some.
We'll do.
Oh, it's coming.
All right. Sounds good. We will catch you guys next time.
All right. See you guys.
Ayo, peace.